Hey everyone, Nick with RetroPixel Digital here. So today I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about this new project and this new product that I'm using. It's called Character Creator 4. Most of you have probably heard of it. It's actually by Reallusion. It's really cool. They have a really neat suite of software, including iClone 8 now. We got Character Creator 4, and specifically I want to kind of talk about a few of the main features here, and one of them being my favorite here, it's called AccuRIG. Now, AccuRIG, there is a free version of it that you can get, but that free version is, let me pull this up for you here real quick, and I'm just going to show you here. This is the AccuRIG paid version. Now, the specific thing about paid version is something that I want to kind of talk about a bit more. There is a free version. And I would definitely recommend trying it out. It's really neat. You can actually go, you can create rig and skin your static meshes to make them into characters. It's really cool. So I don't know if anyone is like me. I know for years, I've been using Maya since 2004, 2003, something like that. So that's one thing that I've always hated to do is paint weights. Rigging, not so much. It's not a big deal, but painting weights is a big thing. And this really saves a lot of that time. And it does it very well. And again, if you want to go in there and play around with the weights, you can also do that as well. But the major thing that I love about the new paid version of AccuRIG is that it can do hard armor parts as well as a separate thing. So with some of the projects that I'm working on right now, we require rigged characters, and these rigged characters need to they need to have a soft body, and then they need all armor. The armor is all going to be hard armor, so you don't want that bending. Like if you see here, you're going to notice that you don't get any bending of the hard armor parts because this AccuRIG treats it as a separate part. And I'm just going to do a little bit of a quick tutorial. I'm going to go over all the aspects of it. I'm not going to be going into a lot of detail, but I'm just going to give you an overview. Kind of not a quick overview, but a semi-quick overview. So I'm just going to create a new project here. I'm just going to show you how simple it is to use this. I'm just going to say yes here just because I would like to keep it. And we'll just go this. I was going to put MasterChief in there. And I'm just going to call MCCC4. All right, so we've created a new one here. This is going to be your main screen, so there's nothing in there. What we want to do is I'm just going to prep something here in Maya real quick. And I've already done that here. So this is our character, and this is how it is built and set up. So I've got UV textured different parts here, and the body soft mesh itself is a separate piece. So this is what we're going to be rigging, and everything else is going to be stuck on it. Previously, you can do it. You can do it in Maya if you want to, but you got to go through and paint weights and test and all that other stuff. And this software is just saves you a lot of time. I'm really excited about it because we have a lot of characters that are wearing hard armor, like stormtroopers, MasterChief, and there's going to be a whole lot of them, and it's just amazing. Just to prep your model here, I've created it in different separate parts, and then I'm just selecting all of that, and I'm exporting that as an OBJ. Now I've already done it already, so I'm just going to go here, and I'm going to pull that up on off screen here, and I'm going to just pull in that file. So I've thrown it in here in an OBJ. So I'm going to call it, here you go. So it's called MCCC4. I'm just going to literally just drag it right in, and it's going to load it in here. Now, one thing you'll notice right away is that it's not quite centered, but that's okay. You can go in here to this section here and just kind of zero that. So now we've got that in the middle. It's going to help a lot with this AccuRIG. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly throw some materials in here, because I've created some materials based on textures. So it's really neat because you can actually preview those in there. So on the left hand side here, I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to see all these different parts. They share the same materials in a lot of cases. So it's really actually pretty quick to just kind of go in there, click on the little material list here, and then throw in your textures there. So I'm going to quickly do that here. So I've got them here. So we'll go, this one here is part of the stomach armor. So we'll grab base color there. And this one creates an opacity, so I'm going to delete that. And we have the normal, so drop that in the bump and set it as a normal. There you go. And then we got a roughness. And I'm just going to delete the metallic that it puts in there. Those are only 3. It's like a basic texture here, so nothing crazy. And then we'll do the same thing. Upper leg, all that is all good. And then so I will just go into things that like the tech suit. So the tech suit's got a separate set. So we'll go ahead and do the base color on that one. And again, we'll delete that opacity. We'll do the normal. And I'm gonna give it some roughness here. I'll delete that metallic. So that's looking good so far. And then we'll do the helmet. So let's go grab over the, where's the helmet visor? It's sharing the same one. I'll just clear that out right now. And then we'll throw in the helmet base. And then clear that out. We don't need opacity, normal. And we'll do the roughness there. So I guess it's got 2 separate ones. Sorry about that. So let's do the helmet armor itself. So we'll just do the same thing. So we'll do the roughness over there. Base color is going to be there. And clear out the opacity. Clear this guy out too. And I'm just going to throw the normal in there as a bump. There you go. So now we've got a kind of cool looking thing here. So because this has separate pieces here, so I'm just actually going to turn all of them off except for the piece that we're going to want to work with, and that's going to be the tech suit. So I'm just going to go click on these little eyes here. I could keep the, actually I'm going to keep the helmet just to give me a better idea in the next part, and you'll see why. So I'll just go here, the helmet's going to stick around. So this is our character underneath, and this is really what we want to have moving. So I'm going to quickly just go to character, actually with this guy selected. So click on this guy, we'll do character, or create, and then AccuRIG. You're going to want to click on the tech suit here, because that's the main one, and we're going to click create guides. So it's going to try to approximate everything where everything is. You're going to see it's going to be off a little bit, but it's got these little cool guides that we're going to help you. So I'm going to hit A. Actually, F is the front on view. And in this section here, I'm going to click whole mesh, just because it gives you problems if you're trying to line things up that way. It's helpful in certain sections, but this one particularly, I'm just going to click whole mesh. And then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to choose. So this guy here is going to be where his mouth is. Because the helmet's there, I can kind of have a better visual cue as to where it would be. And so I'd be about there. And then this guy here is going to be just under the chin. Now this is important that you get it in the right spot, or it's going to look a little odd. So let's put it right about there. Okay, and so I'll just bring it up a tiny bit, about there. This guy here, maybe just down a bit, a little bit closer. And then these guys here. So I've got symmetry selection on, so you're going to notice that things are going to move with it. So these are the clavicles. If it's off a little bit, you can turn this checkbox off and you can get in there. I think in this particular case, it will actually be off slightly, just because the model composition. So I'm just going to get those as close as I can, and then I'll turn that on. So think about that should be good, maybe a bit higher, and there. And I'll turn symmetry off just for this one, just because I want to get that a little bit over there. And then these guys here, I think up a bit more, and that should be good. All right, so I'm just going to check the A. So A shows me, this is the side view. Things are looking pretty good on that end. And you can click on here and you can kind of see on the right hand side what you should be looking at. This looks pretty good to me, so I'm just going to hit F. I'm going to move around here and I'm going to go on to the next section. So F. Okay. And so these guys are off a bit too. So I'm just going to go ahead and select that. And we'll kind of get that in there. And symmetry's back on, so we'll turn that off again. I don't know, the model is just slightly off, but kind of want to get those right in the hip areas there and there. Should be good. On the side it looks good. Everything else here looks pretty good. I would probably move, turn symmetry on and just move these out. Just gonna turn it off a bit. Okay. And maybe just move this guy over here a bit so he doesn't have like his toes inside. That looks pretty good. So, and you can always tweak this as well, so you can tweak it back later. Now, now I've got the guides where I want them, so I'm just going to go on to the next section, and I'm going to choose, this guy's got like 5 fingers, which will normally be the case, and then hit Generate Skeleton. So once it's finished there, you're going to notice that all those bones are all in place. It looks pretty good. Quick check, looks okay. This one here is a little off, but we'll make some adjustments later on. But that's pretty good. So you'll notice also that the hands themselves are not, they don't have bones yet. They have just guides there. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to make sure symmetry selection's off, just because of my model. Most of your models will be fine for having symmetry on, but this one seems to give me a little bit of an issue, if that's the case. So this looks pretty good. I'm just going to actually kind of go here and just modify a few things here on the fingers, just to kind of match this guide here a little bit better. So here we go. And we'll just kind of like match that up. It doesn't have to be super perfect, but the more time you put into this, the better your result's going to be. So like with anything, it's always better to put in, I always put in the extra effort. So we'll see how that goes here. This looks good. Okay, I'm going to rotate this a little bit just because that finger is not straight on the 3D model. It does a good job of approximating where everything is too. So it's not a big deal. It's actually got it pretty close. It's just hard to see from this angle. If it's bent, it kind of like looks like it's all stuck together, but it did a really good job. I want to test this here and check to see, make sure it's sticking out the way it's supposed to. I just probably move that over just a tiny bit and maybe just go back to this view. Again, you want to make sure whole mesh is selected because it can cause some issues. There we go. That looks perfect. All right, I'm happy. Almost. Just kind of put that there. Perfect. So we'll just check the other hand, make sure everything's good there. Kind of that. I didn't have symmetry on, so it didn't fix everything. So let's just we'll have to go through here and do that. Looks good. This is good. I just move some of these in. It's kind of the same situation on the side. It's just slightly off on a few, but nothing crazy. I could probably get away with not doing anything, but again, like I said, it's better to put in a little bit of time there just to make sure everything's perfect, so your results are just crisp. So I got that. All right. That's looking pretty good. And again, with these fingers that are kind of bent here, I'm going to just kind of rotate my view to make sure that looks okay. And honestly, I'm pretty happy with that. Everything looks pretty good. This one I could work on a bit here. That's looking good. And then this is rotated the right way. Yes, we're looking good. I am happy. All right. So once that is done, that's everything ready to rock. Now what you want to do is make sure that this area here with target mesh is selected, or selected meshes, because the next part is going to bind the skin to whatever you have. Now I'm going to obviously do the tech suit, right? But the other thing is that the fingers here, this here is more like a glove and less like hard armor parts. So I'm going to include the right and the left hand armor. So I'm going to go look for left hand armor or right hand armor, and we'll look for right or left hand armor. So we got all those 3 parts there with those selected and this selected here. What we'll do is we'll click bind skin. So once that's done, we'll just take a quick look over here to see how it looks. Looks good to me. What you can do is click on check animation here. And then when you check the animation, you'll have options to do a full body rig. That's going to load some pre-done animation onto it. And we're just going to be able to press play and see how that looks. So you're going to see the neck and everything looks pretty good. The hands are moving pretty well. And it's looking pretty good. I mean, you could always go through and kind of modify a few things, but that's looking pretty good so far. And again, you can just kind of go through here and you can scrub. So if you want to just check and see if, like, when he does this, how does that look? This is a pretty unnatural pose. If you're wearing a helmet, that's kind of tough. So when I'm doing animation and I'm doing motion capture, so we use an XN's motion capture suit for the stuff that we do. We generally like to have on set, not only you got the suit on, but our actors would be wearing some sort of armor, foam insets, like kind of a filler there that's going to actually emulate whatever you have on screen. That way your performance matches a little bit more of what you're wearing. So your character won't be able to capture data doing this, because now if we switch all this armor back on, which you'll see that it actually follows him. So we're just going to like throw all these guys back on, and you're going to see him do his stuff with the armor on. But what's going to happen is when he puts his arms up there, it's going to go through his armor. Now we can do some corrective stuff in posts in either Unreal Engine, or if you're using iClone, it's really easy to kind of just do some modifications on that and some keyframing. But what I'd recommend is, while you're doing the motion capture, if you're doing motion capture, try to, if you can, have some sort of foam things, foam insets or kind of a collider that the character or the performer is wearing. That way when you go like this, it's actually going to naturally stop him from being able to do those poses, and it's going to react properly. Now again, if that's not an option for you guys, then you can always go in post. In iClone 8, I'll probably cover that a little bit later in a different video, but iClone 8 is amazing because it gives you even more control than this. So what I'd recommend is just kind of, once you've got this going in here, do a quick look with all your hard armor parts on, and just make sure everything looks good. It doesn't have to be perfect, because again, like I said, you can edit it in post, but just make sure that the mesh itself is looking good, there's no major issues and everything like that. And also what's really cool is you've got these other options here, like motion. You can choose different things, like if you want to double check on just the hands, you can go to body rig and then hand, and it'll do an animation on the hands, which is checking those out, making sure they're good. You can actually kind of zoom in there, looking pretty good. And again, if you want to pause it and like scrub through each individual one, you can do that as well. So we can just kind of go through here, maybe move here and see, make sure that everything's looking good, and maybe just play the whole thing. So you can see it's done a really good job. And again, if there's any issues with it, you can always go back. Now one thing I'd like to do is just kind of go over what would happen. Let's say something does go wrong, like say your pose is completely wrong, you didn't set the shoulders in the right place or whatever. You can just go check animation, click that, it'll get you out of that mode, and you can click create guides. Now, actually, we got to click on this guy here, the tech suit. I'm going to click on create guides. It's going to say it's going to remove the existing skeleton definition and recreate new guides. That sounds scary, but just click OK. And this next section here is going to ask you to create guides. Do you want to create new guides altogether? I would not recommend that. Or extrapolate the guides from the skeleton. So that's just going to pretty much put you in edit mode. So if you hit create under extrapolate guides from skeleton, you'll be able to go in here and you'll be able to modify what you've done already. You wouldn't be starting over. So let's say I did determine that, and I'm going to turn off the chest armor. I'm going to turn that off. So for this, I'm going to hit F. So I'm just straight on. And maybe I decided that these were a little bit too high. Actually, symmetry really messed me up. So we'll just go here. So those are too high. So now I'm just dropping them down a bit. And then I can go ahead and I could just click generate skeleton again. And we didn't worry about deploying facial bones for this particular one just because of the fact that this guy has no head. Really, he's just got a helmet, so I'll just keep existing set just to make it quicker. So it doesn't have to recalculate something I'm not using anyway. So again, now you're going to see the new skeleton that's been generated. And again, I'm going to click on the tech suit armor, making sure that that is selected and selected meshes is selected. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to bind that skin. So now we've just regenerated that based on the changes we've made. And again, we can click on the check animation here. And I can switch to the body rig, full body here. And we can see exactly what we're looking at. And you can see the arms, the shoulders here are looking much better this time. So I've been able to change it, and I've been able to quickly and easily do that without having to start over again. So if we did this here, we can see it's really, really looking good. I'll add the armor back here so we can see the full thing, but like the base is really what we're worrying about here. You're looking at those those weights are painted almost perfectly. So this is just a lifesaver. This is a tool that I don't think I'm going to be able to do without once I've started using it now. It's pretty sad, I know, but it's a great tool. The free version is amazing, but obviously for the free version it's going to be limited, of course, because obviously you've got the premium version here that's got all the additional stuff. But it's a really good tool to be able to play around with and use to see. So I'd recommend testing out the free one, but honestly, if you're going to get serious about some of your projects, I would recommend using the paid version. So another really cool feature is that you can export this bad boy out. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm just going to give it the good old, so the pose, I'm just going to give it a T pose, or A pose. If I'm bringing it into Unreal Engine, I'm going to want an A pose. So that's what the mannequin does. So I'm just going to go here, then I'm going to go File, Export, and then I do FBX, and I'll do that all. And then in here, we're going to do Mesh and Motion, and then we'll do the current pose. We don't need animation because it's not really doing anything. And then frame rate, really doesn't matter with the frame rate here, just because of the fact that we'll be using the, it's actually just gonna be one frame, so not a big deal there. So we'll just do that, keep all those settings there. There's some other options here. If you click on this here, you can actually get into, other options. Just kind of go through here and see if there's anything else works for you. But everything should be okay, and then you can export that file. And it's going to give you a notification that you can't import it back into Character Creator if you've done any changes to that. So stuff like that, but that's fine. So you can just click OK, save it out, and you can actually import that into Unreal Engine, and you can apply animation to it. I'm not really going to go into that right now, just because I'm going to be focusing more on Character Creator 4 to iClone, and I'm going to be doing that. But if enough people kind of ask me and they think that I should do that, maybe what I'll do is I'll kind of go over how to bring that into Unreal Engine and then apply animations to that as well, if you just kind of want to skip iClone altogether. But the next video will be focusing a little bit more on iClone. So that's pretty much it for this particular review / tutorial. I believe it is a little bit more of a tutorial than a review. But I do highly recommend this stuff, and if I would recommend going to the Reallusion site and downloading a 30-day trial. Just give it a shot. So yeah, so if anyone has any questions or anything feel free to post them in the comments. I'll see what I can do. I'll see if I can get you the resources you need and stuff like that. But yeah, I really highly recommend this tool. And in the next couple of videos, I'm going to be going over a little bit more of the other features that are in Character Creator 4. This is just one of the many features in the Character Creators 4 suite. I'll go over a couple more here, and if anybody has any other features with Character Creator 4 or any of the Reallusion stuff, just put it in the comments, and I'll see if I can get a video made for you guys. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.